Have you ever felt it? That quiet, persistent hum of something missing, even when life is, by all accounts, good? It's not a loud alarm, but a subtle, gnawing emptiness, a sense that you're playing a role in a grand performance, reading from a script you never wrote, wearing a costume that never quite fits. This feeling, this profound spiritual ache, is not a flaw in your design. It is a signal. It is the first echo of a truth so fundamental, so powerful, that it has been deliberately buried, not in a locked vault or a forgotten tomb, but right out in the open, disguised as a story. I am here to tell you that this truth has never been truly told to you before, not in its entirety, because only now, in this moment, are you vibrationally ready to hear it. Another name for this spiritual secret is a quantum code. It is so powerful, so paradigm-shattering, that once you remember it, no one, nothing, or no old fear will ever be able to control you again. This secret has been carefully kept hidden, not by force, but through a far more insidious method: distraction and illusion. Threat teacher and master of reality's rules, Thoth, told his initiates exactly how to find it. But this isn't just a lesson in ancient history. This is about the fabric of your life right now. I am going to show you how this one single change in how you perceive reality will wake up your soul, your true quantum self, after a long and restless sleep. When it does, it will seem like pure magic. Everything in your life that currently feels broken, jumbled, or hopelessly unclear will begin to spontaneously rearrange itself into a state of coherence and harmony. Do you understand what I mean by that emptiness? That nagging feeling that you're pretending to be someone else, that you're an imposter in your own existence? That's because our entire world, the one you've been taught to navigate and believe in, is based on a consensus reality. Think of it as a shared 3D program, a massively multiplayer, online game that every soul is logged into upon birth. This program has one primary directive: to make you forget how truly powerful you are. They, the architects of this consensus reality, the systems of culture, education, and social conditioning, taught you that you are a limited particle, a single, separate, biological machine defined by your name, your job, your history, and your body. You are a noun, a thing, a finite entity in a vast and indifferent universe. But this is the foundational lie. You are not a particle. You are really a consciousness wave that goes on and on, a boundless field of potential that is interconnected with everything in existence. As a particle, you are solid, separate, and vulnerable. As a wave, you are fluid, connected, and infinite. And as long as you remember yourself as a limited particle, you have to play by their rules. You take in their programming. You dim your light to fit into their pre-approved boxes. But that ends today. I am going to show you precisely where Thoth's master key is hidden. But first, you need to accept an important, earth-shaking truth. You already possess everything you've been desperately looking for on the outside. All the love, all the peace, all the acceptance, and all the power you have ever craved is not something you need to acquire. It is already stored within you as a quantum potential, a vibrant, shimmering field of possibilities, just waiting for you to turn your attention toward it and observe it into existence. I will tell you where this master key to your memory is hidden at the very end of this transmission. It's not in an old, dusty book. It's not on the windswept peak of a sacred mountain. You carry it with you at all times, every second of every day. But you have been expertly taught never to see it. Are you ready? Because once you truly see this, your reality will never and can never go back to the way it was before. Please, take a conscious moment to subscribe before we embark on this trip. I want you to think of this not as a simple click, but as your first intentional act of commitment to your own awakening. By subscribing, you are creating a stable energetic connection to this frequency of information. This powerful act sends a clear signal to the universe that you are ready to receive these quantum calibrations and finally remember who you truly are. We now know that they have hidden the key that will free your consciousness. It's time to show them exactly how they did it. The most astonishing thing, the clue that exposes the entire illusion, is that people from entirely different civilizations, separated by vast oceans and thousands of years of history, all talked about the exact same thing. Consider this: the mystics in the Vedic traditions of India and the Gnostic philosophers in ancient Greece, cultures with no conceivable direct contact, all pointed to the same cosmic event. How is that even possible? The web wasn't there. There were no phones, no global communication networks. Still, these ancient masters, from opposite ends of the world, all said the same thing with chilling clarity. The soul does not awaken at birth. It goes to sleep, very, very soundly. In our modern world, we celebrate birth as the beginning of everything. It's the start of a life, the first page of a new story. But in these profound ancient cultures, birth was understood as the beginning of forgetting. This was the great tragedy of incarnation. According to what they taught, your soul, your pure, unfiltered consciousness, came directly from the quantum field. This was a place of infinite possibility, a realm where you were not separate from anything, where you felt a deep, resonant sense of being linked to the all. There was no split between you and the source of creation. The memory of the real, limitless you was alive, vibrant, and moving through all of creation. But something profound and jarring happens when that boundless consciousness enters a physical, human body. It's like a thick, heavy veil is drawn over your perception. This was what the great master Thoth called a frequency drop. Imagine your consciousness as a super-powered radio receiver capable of tuning into every station on the cosmic dial simultaneously. In the quantum field, you exist in superposition, a state where all possible outcomes, all timelines, all realities exist at the same time. You are everything and everywhere at once. But at the moment of incarnation, that infinite awareness suddenly collapses into a single, fixed, linear, 3D timeline. The radio dial is violently turned until it locks onto one, and only one, station. This life, this body, this reality. In that moment of collapse, you forget that you are the ocean, the entire ocean, and you begin to believe with all your being that you are just a single, isolated wave destined to crash upon the shore and disappear. In the temples of ancient Egypt, Thoth taught that the body itself wasn't the problem. The problem is that you mistakenly think you are only your body. That is the cage. In India, the wise sages called this all-encompassing illusion Maya, which translates to the grand deception of a solid, separate world. In ancient Greece, Philosophers lamented that the soul forgot its divine quantum beginning and became trapped in a prison of repetition, a cycle of birth and death, endlessly replaying its amnesia. Can you see the pattern now? It's the same core truth echoed across all cultures, a golden thread of wisdom woven through the tapestry of human history. But this wasn't information that was carved onto the walls of public parks for everyone to see. It was treated as highly sensitive quantum information, and it was quietly and carefully passed from master to disciple in the hallowed, silent chambers of temples, accessible only to the most dedicated and qualified initiates. Why? Why the secrecy? They were afraid of this truth, not because it was false, but because they knew of its immense, world-altering power. They knew it could be dangerous in the wrong hands. If a normal person, whose heart and mind were not yet purified and ready, got access to this information, their ego could seize it and become catastrophically inflated. Instead of using this knowledge for true transformation and liberation, they might use it to feel spiritually superior to others, to manipulate and control people, or to build a sophisticated new fortress of escapism from the challenges of reality. These masters understood a critical principle. You can only wield real wisdom and quantum power when your heart is clear and your intentions are pure. Just wanting to know isn't enough. You need to be vibrationally ready to live what you learn. That's why there was a profound silence required in the temples. People who came looking for quick answers, flashy powers, or egoic validation didn't get anything. They were met with silence. But the initiates who were able to sit in that silence, to quiet their minds and open their hearts, started to hear something. This wasn't a sound audible to the ears, but a frequency, a direct transmission of thought. It was the universe whispering its secrets back to them. What really took place in those temples? What was the process that could finally remind a soul that it is infinite, even when it is hopelessly lost in the 3D illusion? Get ready, because we're about to walk through those ancient doors. And what you're about to see is not some archaic ritual. It's a quantum recalibration process so deep, so fundamental, that it changes the very operating system of your consciousness for good. This information was brought to you today for a reason. If these words are making you feel a sense of deep knowing, like you're remembering something you've always known, share this video right now. You're not just sending a link when you share this transmission. You're sending a quantum signal out through the collective field. You are creating an energetic link to another soul that is vibrating at the same frequency, another soul that is ready to awaken. However, that jump into knowing wasn't ready for everyone. This is Thoth's most critical and often overlooked warning. It was incredibly dangerous to cross that portal of awareness without being properly prepared. Why? Because attempting to remember your infinite self before your mind and body are ready to handle that immense energetic upgrade could shatter your entire system. Let me give you a modern analogy. Consider that the normal consensus 3D reality that your nervous system is calibrated to handle is like a household electrical circuit designed for 110 volts. It works perfectly for powering your everyday appliances, your thoughts, your emotions, your daily routines. Now, imagine trying to channel 10,000 volts, the raw, untamed frequency of your full quantum self, your connection to the entire cosmos through those same delicate wires all at once. The system would be instantly overloaded. It would short circuit, the wires would melt, and the entire structure could burst into flames. This is a precise metaphor for what happens when someone with a heavy load of unresolved emotional trauma, deep-seated fear, and dense energetic blockages suddenly and unexpectedly connects with the sheer vastness of their true nature. The experience can be too much to integrate. It may feel like insanity, a complete psychotic break from reality. The biggest and most terrifying risk is to cross that threshold without proper preparation and get lost in the liminal space between dimensions, unable to fully return to 3D reality, but also unable to stabilize in a higher state of consciousness. You can't take back what you saw on the other side. You can't unsee the infinite. But what if you don't know how to integrate that information? What if your mind, in its desperate attempt to make sense of that feeling of boundless, formless existence, twists it and contorts it into a new, more complicated, and more terrifying illusion instead of liberating you into freedom? This is not a hypothetical danger. It is the hidden story behind many spiritual seekers who got lost their minds, or became entangled in cults or delusions of grandeur. They touched the live wire without insulation. That's why the ancient masters told everyone who would listen, do not seek this path just because you are curious. If you want power, if you're looking for a quick fix for your pain, or if you want to escape your life, do not walk this way. They understood that if you try to remember who you are before clearing the dense, energetic static from your body and your emotional field, you might only make things infinitely more confusing. You could end up swapping one prison cell for a much bigger, more elaborate one that just happens to look more spiritual from the outside. You might trade your mundane anxieties for cosmic ones, your earthly ego for a spiritual ego, which is far more insidious and harder to dislodge. If you understand how critically important it is to prepare your vessel, to clean your energetic circuits before the Great Awakening, click the like button right now. This action is more than just an interaction. It's a signal of quantum coherence. This simple click tells your own nervous system that you will honor this sacred process, that you will move forward with true spiritual awareness instead of reckless spiritual ego, and that you are committed to awakening and healing in a way that is both safe and sustainable. So, what is the very first invisible obstacle we have to deal with? The one thing that is secretly running almost every part of your life from behind the scenes. It was known to Thoth as the great lie of the self, and it's the exact point where most people get stuck and give up on their journey. The chance that you will awaken before you are truly ready is the first real problem you need to solve. It's not a demon. It's not some external dark force. It's a program running in the background of your own mind, a program you can't see because you think it is you. Thoth called it the lie of the self. Who among us would be brave enough to look themselves in the mirror and admit with total honesty that they've been lying to themselves their entire lives? The wall you need to break through is not outside of you. It is inside of you. It is the sum total of everything you think you are. The trouble is, from the moment you were born, you were conditioned. This was planned for you. Your parents, your teachers, your boss, and your culture all told you what to think about love, about success, about failure, and most importantly, about yourself. You accepted these ideas as truth, not because you were weak or foolish, but because you were never taught how to question the fundamental programming itself. So, I have a very serious question for you. How often, just today, did you pause and simply observe your own thoughts without judgment? How many times did you consciously ask yourself, where did that belief, that reaction, that fear actually come from? The sobering truth is that most of the thousands of thoughts that race through your mind every day are not your own original ideas. They are well-worn neural pathways, automatic programs that have been running on a loop for years, sometimes decades. They're like apps running in the background of your mental operating system, constantly draining your precious energy and your life force, all while you remain completely unaware of their existence. And according to the fundamental law of quantum reality, that your observation creates your reality, these old programs are relentlessly collapsing the same old reality for you, day after day, week after week. Why? Because they keep looking at your life and your potential in the same old, limited way. Your reality doesn't change because your observation of it doesn't change. This is where the first real, tangible step on this sacred path begins. It is not esoteric or magical. The answer is breathtakingly clear, profoundly simple, and yet, for many, incredibly hard to execute. The next time a negative, limiting thought comes up, and it will, I want you to stop. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Just stop. I'm talking about those familiar thoughts, the ones that creep in when you're tired, scared, or feeling insecure. The I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. Who am I to do this? Thoughts. And in that moment of pause, I want you to ask yourself the question that Thoth's followers were taught to ask, the question that begins to unravel the entire illusion. Is this thought really mine, or was it just put in me? That one single question, even though it sounds almost too easy to be effective, is a powerful act of quantum disentanglement. For the first time, the observer, the real you, the silent consciousness, is able to see the program, the thought, as something separate from itself. And once you do this, there is no going back. The spell is broken. You are no longer the program. You are the one watching the program run. When you have the profound realization that a huge portion of your emotional pain, your anxieties, and your insecurities wasn't actually your own, but was taught to you, inherited from your family, or absorbed from the culture around you, something inside of you breaks open. This is not an act of destruction. That's the feeling of freedom. Each thought you successfully question and disidentify from breaks another link in the chain that has held you captive. But be warned, the ego, the construct of the false self, will fight back with ferocious intensity. Its entire job, its prime directive, is to protect this false identity at all costs. It will whisper warnings to you, telling you that giving up these old, familiar beliefs is dangerous and reckless. It will ask you, who will you be without your story of struggle? Who will you be without these thoughts? But the deeper truth is that those thoughts were never you to begin with. They were just the voice of a false observer who is co-creating a reality for you that you didn't consciously choose or want. When the old stories, the old programs, begin to fall silent, there is a space that opens up, a void, a silence. This is where something new and miraculous finally has room to happen. That silence might feel terrifying at first because you're so accustomed to the constant mental noise. You will quickly learn, however, that this silence isn't empty. It is full, it is pregnant with all potential. It is the quantum field itself. It is the sacred space where something ancient, something that has been dormant since your birth, can finally begin to come back online. What has been asleep since the day you were born starts to stir and wake up when that first, most fundamental illusion of the false self begins to fall. This is not a new skill you are learning, but a quiet memory that is resurfacing. And as it comes to the surface, the things that used to drive your life, the frantic pursuits and the desperate cravings, start to seem strangely small. The petty fights and dramas that used to drain all of your energy no longer have the same hold on you. The world on the outside is the same, but you are not, because the very lens through which you perceive things has fundamentally changed. Let's break this pattern together, right now. I want you to declare this in the comments below to anchor this realization into your physical reality. I am the observer of my mind. Let the physical act of typing these words be your first clear, conscious statement that you are reclaiming your freedom. You are sending a powerful signal to the quantum field that you are no longer the program, but the infinite, silent consciousness that is watching it. As that deep memory starts to reawaken within you, something truly amazing begins to happen. You realize, for the first time, that you can see things with more than just your physical eyes. You begin to perceive with a quiet inner knowing that doesn't judge, analyze, or label. It just knows. This was what Thoth called the single eye. It's not a physical eye in the middle of your forehead, but a state of quantum perception. It is your consciousness tuning into the wave function of reality before it collapses into a hard physical fact. I know you know this feeling. It's that moment when you walk into a room and you can just feel that something is wrong, even though there's no logical reason for it. It's when you meet someone new who says all the right things, but a quiet voice deep inside you just knows they are not being truthful. That's the single eye in action. That is your quantum self picking up on the underlying frequency of a situation, sensing the truth that exists beyond the 3D appearance of things. But why, then, do most of us experience this profound sense so rarely and so faintly? Because from a young age, we are systematically trained to believe only what we can see, touch, and measure with our five senses. We were told to trust the data, the logic, our facts, and to dismiss our deepest intuition, our quantum precognition, as mere fantasy or wishful thinking. Yet this intuition has always been our true, unerring guide. Your physical eyes see the surface of things. The single eye can perceive the quantum field that lies beneath that surface. This is the first practical exercise Thoth gave to his followers. I want you to do it with me right now. Take a moment to gently close your eyes. Now, for just a moment, stop looking for answers. Stop the endless internal noise in your head. It's not possible to think your way to this. Just be still for 10 seconds. 10 seconds in which you don't look for anything, you don't think about anything, and you don't expect anything to happen. You just feel. In that tiny sliver of silence, something emerges. At first, it feels like nothing at all, but that nothing is, in fact, everything. It is the 0-point field, the womb of all potential. In that stillness, the single eye flickers to life. For a fleeting moment, you break free from the mental static, and you remember on a cellular level that you are a vast, intelligent field of awareness. Why is this so critically important? Because as long as you use your logical, analytical mind to look for answers, all you will ever find are old, recycled ideas and solutions that are already part of the existing program. But when you begin to feel and perceive with this direct quantum perception, new information doesn't come to you as thoughts. It shows up as a crystal clear, instantaneous knowing, as if you already knew everything you needed to know and didn't need any words to explain it. However, this newfound clarity of perception is only the start. It's like cracking open a door and letting a sliver of brilliant light into a dark room. The light is coming in, but on the other side of that door, there is something infinitely more profound waiting, because it's one thing to know the truth. It's another thing entirely to live from it. This next step involves something that no teacher, no book, and no video can ever teach you. It has to do with the unique, one-of-a-kind quantum signature of your own soul. If you can feel the resonance of this inner truth stirring within you, I want you to comment, "I am tuning into my core frequency." This will help you ground this intention in your reality. Feel the quantum shift in your body as you affirm this statement. This is more than just a comment. It's a clear, resonant yes to the universe, signaling that you're finally ready to listen to the loud, clear, and unique signal of your own soul. You have been systematically getting rid of the perceptual filters, the layers of conditioning that were keeping your true, authentic self hidden from view. And once those filters begin to come off and your soul finally starts to awaken, there is no reversing the change. From this point forward, your mind's automatic, fear-based, reactive responses will no longer be in control of your life. You begin to experience a strange and beautiful state of being, which Thoth named the waking trance. This is not the same as a hypnotic trance, where you lose your consciousness or awareness. It's the exact opposite of that. You are more acutely aware of things than ever before in your life. Your quantum self, your true self, observes everything. It feels everything. It is no longer entangled in the drama of the emotional wave or the anxious chatter of thoughts, though. At first glance, from the outside, it looks like you're still in the middle of a crazy, chaotic storm. But deep down inside, there is a place of such profound stillness that absolutely nothing can move you. This state is not a way to escape from life or dissociate from it. It is the experience of living life in a state of full, embodied presence. You still have challenges to face. You still have relationships with friends and family. But now, you are not a character who is lost and buffeted by the story. You have become the consciousness that is peacefully watching the story happen. Your mind still thinks, but you don't automatically believe everything it tells you anymore. You still feel emotions like hurt or sadness, but you don't automatically react to them in the same old self-destructive ways. They are felt as energy moving through you, but they don't take over your life and become your identity. And then something truly miraculous takes place. Your relationship with time, which used to feel like a relentless enemy, begins to change. You start to experience what can only be described as temporal flexibility, that constant, nagging feeling of always having to rush, of being late, of never having enough time, simply dissolves. While you are fully present in the quantum now, time itself seems to stretch and become pliable. Each moment, no matter how simple or mundane, is felt deeply and fully. You could be doing the dishes, and in that simple act, feel a sense of profound peace that didn't seem possible before. The powerful emotions that used to control you and dictate your behavior no longer have the same overwhelming strength. You can feel anger rise, but you simply observe its energy without letting it compel you into action. You can feel anxiety, but you don't let it stop you from moving forward. You see it for what it is, a computer program trying to run a simulation of a future that hasn't collapsed into reality yet. This is what real freedom feels like. It is the freedom from unconscious reaction, not the freedom to do whatever you want without consequence. It's the freedom to consciously choose your response rather than being a slave to old, painful habits. The ego could never give you this freedom because the ego is the pattern. The spirit, your quantum self, is free. It observes, it comprehends, and it acts from a place of deep clarity and wisdom. And perhaps the most profound change of all is in how you see other people. You no longer see enemies or competitors. When your quantum self is in the driver's seat, you start to see that every single person is just carrying their own burden of pain and their own set of conditioned programs, just like you were. And this insight gives rise to a real, deep, and authentic compassion that is not based on pity, but on recognition. The real question, of course, is now here. Is it possible to live like this all the time? It feels easy and natural when you're meditating in a quiet room. But what about when you're stuck in rush hour traffic? What about when your boss is yelling at you or a family member is pushing all of your emotional buttons? Can this deep, quantum level peace last when it collides with the friction of normal, everyday life? Now is when the mind, the ego, which has been sitting quietly in the background, tries to seize control again. It says in a low, seductive whisper, "This is a nice feeling, but it's not practical. It's not sustainable." And the moment you believe that thought, you fall right back into the old pattern. Waking up isn't the hardest part. The truly tough part is staying awake. If you are ready for this beautiful, lifelong challenge, click the like button again. As you do this, let it be a powerful, energetic anchor for your presence. In this waking trance, you are bringing your mind, your body, and your spirit into alignment. You are making a conscious choice to be the calm, unwavering center of the storm, no matter what drama unfolds in the 3D world around you. When you close your eyes and you're all alone, it's easy to remember who you are. The real test, the true mastery, is being able to remember who you are when everyone and everything around you is trying its hardest to make you forget. Thoth said it best. The true alchemist is the one who walks awake among the asleep and does not let their dream put him back to sleep. That single sentence says it all. The world is not going to pause its chaos so that you can feel calm. The endless demands, the constant chaos, and the relentless stream of frightening news that keeps coming at you will all keep going. It is a powerful, collective interference pattern that is constantly trying to pull you back into its frequency, back into its consensus reality. This is the collective energetic field, and this is where you have to make a choice, moment by moment, about who is in charge of your inner state, the high, clear frequency of your soul, or the low frequency static of the world. In real life, this mastery begins with practicing small, conscious, wise actions. The first and most important is the practice of presence. This simply means being where your body is. If you're washing the dishes, your full attention should be there. Feel the warm water on your hands, smell the soap. When someone is talking to you, truly listen to them. Don't let your thoughts wander off to the past or race ahead to the future. This is a constant, moment to moment practice of anchoring your attention in the now. The second step is to cultivate inner silence. There is a place deep inside of you that can remain perfectly quiet, even when you are in the middle of a heated argument. Even if the room around you is loud and chaotic, you can still feel that inner anchor of calm. It's found in the tiny, almost imperceptible space between a stimulus and your response. In that sacred pause, you have the power to choose how you will act instead of just reacting based on old programming. The third thing is to practice frequency hygiene. The things you watch, the music you listen to, and the people you interact with all affect your personal electromagnetic field. If you constantly consume media that is designed to make you afraid, your personal frequency will inevitably drop. The energy of some people can entangle with yours and make you feel weaker and more confused. Choosing what you allow into your mind and your energetic space is an act of spiritual self-defense. It's about maintaining your quantum coherence in a world that is constantly trying to create incoherence. Over time, this dedicated practice changes you on a fundamental level. You no longer react to things that used to trigger you instantly. People who used to make you angry now have less power over you because they can't find a reactive hook to latch onto inside of you. But as Thoth warned, the mind does not like being fired from its job as the master of your life. It will try to convince you that this calm detachment is not real, that you're being passive or weak. At that point, you need to gently but firmly remember who is watching whom. Are you the thought, or are you the awareness that is watching the thought? As you continue to stabilize in this state, something truly profound begins to happen. Your deeper perception begins to grow. You start to remember things that you thought were long gone, memories that seem to stretch beyond the boundaries of this single lifetime. You start to have flashes of intense déjà vu that feel more like a reality bleed through from another timeline, and a strange, inexplicable sense of knowing a place you've never physically been to. This isn't your mind making up stories. Now that the frequency of your soul is becoming more coherent and stable, it can start to access quantum information from its vast library of past experiences, its past lives. When those deeper, soul-level memories start to come back to you, you realize something that completely shatters the way you see the world. You used to think that your birth in this life was the beginning of your story, but you now understand that it's really just one single chapter in a much, much longer saga. Thoth was crystal clear on this point. Your spirit, your core consciousness, did not come into existence when your body was born. For now, the body is just a temporary vehicle. The soul, the real you, lives for a very long time. Before it incarnated into the person you think you are now, it was many things, and it lived in many different places. Those memories didn't just vanish into thin air. All of them are saved as energetic data in the quantum field. A lot of the time, these memories don't surface as clear, cinematic scenes. They show up in the subtle patterns of your everyday life, the irrational fears and the recurring habits you can't seem to break? Why do you always seem to end up with the same type of person in relationships or face the same kind of trouble at work, even when you change all the external circumstances? Why do some deep, unexplainable feelings of sadness or guilt keep coming back, no matter how much you try to think your way out of them? Your soul is trying to tell you something. These are quantum echoes, which are unresolved frequencies from other timelines or your past lives that are still energetically entangled with your present reality. It's possible to integrate and heal any pattern that bothers you on a deep level because it's a reminder of something you lived through in the past. All it needs is for you to finally observe it with love and without judgment. And these deep memories don't just bring you challenges, they also bring you incredible gifts. That natural skill you have, that odd, deep fascination you have with a particular subject that no one else around you cares about. That's the muscle memory of your soul from past life skills and wisdom that are downloading into your present awareness. But a lot of people get lost at this stage. The mind, the ego, tries to turn these fragmented memories into grand, epic stories to make itself feel important. I was a queen in ancient Egypt, or I was a great warrior. But these memories are not here to boost your ego. They are here to free your mind from its limited perception of self. You will only create more sophisticated illusions if you try to control or dramatize this process. And as these broken memories start to come back to the surface, a new and confusing problem arises. You feel disoriented and profoundly alone. So you go looking for answers outside of yourself, in books, from gurus, and in expensive courses, in a desperate search for someone who can explain to you what is happening. However, Thoth made this point very, very clear. The real teacher, the only guide who can truly lead you through this labyrinth, has always been inside of you. You have always been the real master of your own journey. Only you can show you the way through the paths that no one else can see. It's inside of you. It's your own quantum self that has finally woken up. It also doesn't talk to you in the same way a person does. It communicates with you through your awakened intuition. There is a soft, quiet voice of knowing that doesn't try to argue or persuade you. It knows for sure. This voice inside doesn't speak in the language of logic. It speaks in the language of felt truth. It is the sense of coherence or dissonance that you feel before a thought even begins to form. It is the strong, undeniable yes or no that comes directly from your heart as intelligence. So, people who only live in the constant noise of their minds almost never notice it. How do you learn to hear this voice? Not by trying to find out more information, but by creating more silence. Leave some space between your thoughts. When you are frantically looking for quick, logical answers to your problems, you close off the very door that the master wants to use to communicate with you. It doesn't operate at the speed of your anxiety. It wants you to be still. This is the most important spiritual practice of all. Before you make any significant choice, just pause, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and feel. Do not think. Feel. What is the very first sensation that arises in that empty space before your mind starts chattering with pros and cons? That's the voice. That's the signal from your core frequency. It won't always tell you what will make you feel better or more comfortable in the short term. Sometimes it will lead you down the tougher, more challenging path. This voice is not interested in keeping your ego happy and safe. It is dedicated to the growth of your soul. It wants you to remember everything, and sometimes remembering involves facing things that are not easy. This is why a lot of people learn to ignore their gut feelings. It doesn't give the ego what it wants, but it always gives the soul what it needs. When you start to really trust your inner guidance, this is when your mind, your ego, sets up its most clever and deceptive trap. It puts on a spiritual mask because it knows it's losing its grip on you. You are so awake now, it whispers. You're not like everyone else who is still asleep. You know more than they do. You are special. And if you believe that single thought, you will fall headfirst into the last and most dangerous trap of all, the spiritual ego. If you are ready to commit to trusting your own inner guide above all others, post a comment that says, "I trust my inner guidance." With this simple act, you are taking your power back from all external authorities. You are making a clear and conscious choice to live your life based on the clear, felt truth that comes directly from your own soul by turning on your own internal system of quantum perception. Now, we have finally reached the most delicate, the most subtle, and the most dangerous part of the entire journey. We must face the one that Thoth called the last enemy. It's not an enemy coming at you from the outside world. It's a whisper coming from deep inside. A whisper that is so soft, so reasonable, and so alluring that many spiritual seekers mistake it for the voice of enlightenment itself. It's not the ego that wants money, fame, or power, but it is still the ego. This is the ego that wears a mask made of pure light. Thoth said that the final trap on the path to true freedom is not found in the material world. It shows up at the very finish line, at the moment when you start to think of yourself as special because you have woken up. This is where you might get lost for a very long time. The real prison is not a lack of knowledge. It's the spiritual pride that disguises itself as wisdom. Your ego never truly dies. It just stays with you. It only changes its clothes to match your current interests. As soon as it sees that you're genuinely interested in awakening and quantum reality, it says, "Great, I will become the most quantum aware person in the entire world." The very act of thinking, "I am awake, and I am different from those who are still asleep," creates a frequency of separation. And the moment you fall into that separation, you have already fallen from grace, because there can be no quantum oneness where there is a sense of separation. This is the hidden reason why a lot of people who sincerely try to find the light end up creating a new, more sophisticated kind of darkness around themselves. They get information and true transformation mixed up. They forget that real, authentic light doesn't ever need to call attention to itself. It simply is what it is. What are the signs that you might be caught in this trap? It's when you feel a compulsive need to be right in spiritual discussions. That's your spiritual ego flaring up. It's when you silently judge other people for being stuck in the same habits and patterns that you have recently broken free from. It's when you get angry and frustrated that the world is not evolving fast enough to meet your new, higher standards. Your truly awakened quantum self doesn't need to persuade or convert anyone. It understands and accepts that each and every soul is on the perfect and necessary path for them at this time. The ego is fed by the need to be someone. When you can let go of even that, the need to be the awakened one. You have finally reached the gateway to true transcendence. When you stop trying to be someone else, even a spiritual someone, and you just allow yourself to be, you don't have to fight your ego anymore. You just stop giving it the food it needs to survive. You stop comparing, you stop measuring, and you stop judging. But there is one final test. Can you love someone who is completely lost in their own illusion, even though they have no desire to change? Can you see the same divine spark, the same infinite worth in someone who is just starting their journey as you now see in yourself? If you can honestly say yes to that, you have started to remove the last and most tenacious mask of the ego. This is because genuine, unconditional love, a love that doesn't depend on any external conditions, is the highest and most coherent level of quantum coherence there is. This stage isn't the grand finale the ego was hoping for. It is the last and final step in preparing yourself to return to the source. It's a place where there is no longer a separate I and an other. There is just being, and at that moment, something incredibly quiet and simple takes place. The ego was hoping for a big show, a cosmic coronation ceremony with fireworks and angelic choirs. But what actually appears is a simple, profound, unshakable silence inside. A silence that has no need for praise or recognition. This is the moment when you finally get it. Everything that you fought so hard for, everything you longed for, and everything you cried for was always and has always been inside of you. Not as a future achievement, but as a constant, unwavering presence that would never, ever go away. This was what Thoth called conscious unity. In our modern terms, we might call this a state of total field coherence. There is no longer any gap, any separation between you and the universe. You are no longer the seeker, and there is nothing left to be sought. You are no longer just the wave. You are the entire ocean of the quantum field, which is experiencing itself through the temporary form of a wave. You realize that life itself is the answer, so you no longer need to look for answers. There are no more questions, because there is no longer a separate asker. Being is the only thing there is. What does this state of being look like in real, practical life? Honestly, it's incredibly simple and ordinary. You don't just float away from your responsibilities and duties in this state. The opposite is true. Conscious unity shows itself whenever you breathe with full presence. It's in every everyday action that suddenly becomes sacred. Whenever you sip a glass of water and you feel a sense of profound gratitude for the amazing miracle that is clean water, it's not because the act itself has changed, but because you're now bringing a new level of awareness to it. You don't do spirituality as a separate activity anymore. Your entire life becomes your spiritual practice. There's no longer a need for special rituals to feel close to the source. There's no need to go to a special place to feel connected. This is a state of very deep surrender. There is no more fight, no more resistance within you. And where there is no resistance, the pure energy from the source, from the 0-point field, flows freely and unobstructed through you. You are still a person. You still feel emotions. You still have challenges to navigate. But now, everything that happens takes place within a much bigger, much quieter space of awareness. You see both your pain and your happiness as temporary frequencies that are just moving through the vast, eternal field of your consciousness. This is where Thoth whispers the secret that he never wrote down. It's not a complex code or a secret password. it's something much simpler, and in turn, infinitely more profound. If you can feel the deep, resonant peace of this unity, press the like button to lock in this frequency. The feeling of total field coherence is now being added to the electromagnetic field of your own heart. When you do this, in this vibrational state, you're consciously agreeing to let go of all resistance and to live your life from this place of simple, strong, and aware being. Thoth said, "Nothing can ever be lost in the soul. You can remember everything." This is not a metaphor. That phrase is a statement of pure quantum law. It means that you have had all the knowledge, all the memories, and your direct connection to the source inside of you since the beginning of time. All of this precious information is kept safe and sound in the quantum field, which some people call the Akashic records. No matter how much the world tried to make you forget, no matter how thick the veil of amnesia was, the truth could never actually leave you. Only the awareness of it was covered. Think of your soul as a deep, perfectly still lake. On the surface, the waves of the 3D world, the fear, the desire, the confusion, are constantly moving. But deep down, at its core, the lake is always calm, and it always reflects the sky of truth in the most perfect way. That quiet, silent depth is still there, right now, waiting for you to remember it, even when you feel lost, broken, or completely crazy. The act of forgetting is only a temporary interference pattern. The soul itself will always, always remember things. You may have identified with your pain, with your mistakes, or with the stories that hold you back. But in your essence, in your quantum self, nothing was ever lost or damaged. How do you get to that pristine memory? You can't try to force your way there. It is not accessed by force, but by cultivating a state of deep, receptive listening to yourself. The soul doesn't yell to get your attention. It talks in a soft whisper, and you have to quiet the noisy chatter of your mind to be able to hear it. The great god Thoth said that remembering is not a mental process, but a spiritual one. It really is. It is not about learning a list of facts. It is about tuning your personal frequency back to the frequency of what has always been there inside of you. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The light doesn't create the furniture. It simply shows you what was there all along. And this is the most beautiful and liberating part of all. That huge, infinite quantum self doesn't think less of you because you forgot. It doesn't judge you for being lost in the illusion. It waits with infinite patience for you. When you finally make the conscious choice to stop looking at the distracting outside world and start feeling what's inside of you, it will be right there, waiting for you to remember it. Because of this, Thoth, his most important and final lesson was this: the real seeker is not the one who gathers the most knowledge, but the one who learns to be silent. Because in that silence, you finally stop looking and you begin to remember. Now, after this entire journey, after clearing your mind of the old programs, getting past the treacherous lies of the ego, and touching the soul's long-lost memory, something finally happens. It is a remembrance that lives on, a quantum-level event that changes you permanently. This is where you finally, completely understand the ultimate truth. You are not the person in the story. You are not the fear. You are not the hurt. You are the silent consciousness that saw everything happen. You are the vast open sky that remains big, quiet, and completely unaltered as the clouds of thought and feeling pass by. The sky doesn't become the storm. It just holds the space for the storm to pass. That's what you are. Friends, this is the real secret that you can't ever tell anyone, but that they can discover for themselves. Once a person truly remembers who they really are, that is, once they know that they are the conscious observer, they can never be controlled again. They can no longer be manipulated by the low frequency programs of fear, lack, or division. Any attempt to control the soul from the outside will ultimately fail once it remembers its true quantum nature, because the real source of your power was never out there in the world. It's been inside you, right here, the whole time, just waiting for you to notice it. At this point, fear goes away. It's not because you've become brave, but because there is nothing left to guard. All the things that can be lost, your reputation, your possessions, your identity, are just part of the 3D trick, and nothing can ever threaten what you really are, which is pure, infinite, eternal consciousness. Now, this is what complete freedom feels like. You're still living in this world, but you are no longer of this world. You dance with life, but you never forget the silence that is watching the dance. If you have made it this far, your soul is ready. Some deep part of you has already begun to remember. If this journey has touched your soul, I invite you to do something physical to anchor this profound memory. Say it out loud and then type it in the comments below. I am remembering who I am. Let the physical act of writing these words be a powerful vibrational anchor that holds this truth in place in this sacred moment. You're not just typing a comment, you're making a declaration to the universe that you are awake. Lessons for your daily life. The practical path to remembering. This journey may seem vast and cosmic, but its application begins in the small, quiet moments of your daily life. Here is how you can begin to live this truth. Starting right now, practice the quantum question multiple times a day, especially when you feel a strong negative emotion. Pause and ask, is this thought, this feeling, truly mine? Or is it a program I inherited? This simple act creates a space of observation and begins the process of disentanglement. Schedule 10 seconds of silence. You don't need an hour to meditate. Start with just 10 seconds. Several times a day, close your eyes. Take one deep breath and simply feel. Feel the energy in your hands, the air on your skin. Don't look for anything. Just be present. This is how you train your single eye. Become a benevolent observer. When you feel anger, anxiety, or sadness, try a new approach. Instead of becoming the emotion, say to yourself, I see anger is present. I am the awareness that is noticing this anger. This separates you from the reaction and puts you back in the seat of power. Listen to your felt truth. Before making decisions, big or small, take a moment to check in with your body. Does the choice feel expansive and light or contracted and heavy? This is your inner guidance system, your quantum self, speaking to you directly. Learn to trust this feeling over the logical arguments of your mind. Practice frequency hygiene. Notice what you consume. How do you feel after watching the news? How do you feel after talking to a specific friend? Make conscious choices to spend more time with people, media, and environments that raise your frequency and less with those that drain it. This is not a race to a finish line. It is a gentle, moment-by-moment practice of remembering. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. You are unlearning a lifetime of conditioning. Now, I have a question for you to reflect on. What is one lie of the self? One programmed belief you've held about yourself that you are now ready to question and release. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story could be the key that helps someone else unlock their own prison. Thank you for sharing your time and your energy with me today. I wish you profound peace, clarity, and strength on your journey of remembrance. May you walk through this world with the quiet confidence of one who knows who they truly are. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and click the notification bell. This is your personal commitment to staying awake. It creates a coherent quantum link with this field of information, which will support your evolutionary momentum and make sure you never miss another transmission that is meant for your soul.